Hello, my name is Lauren Wolk, and I'm the author of Wolf Hollow and Beyond the Bright Sea, and my new book, Echo Mountain. It's the story of a girl named Ellie. She's 12 years old, living with her family in Maine about 100 years ago, when the Great Depression forces them to leave the town where they've always lived and move into the mountains to start a new life. They're very poor and cold and hungry and afraid, but Ellie really rises to the occasion, leading her family into a wonderful new and very adventurous and exciting life, but also dealing with many problems they face and disasters that befall them, and in the process finding out how strong and brave and resilient and resourceful she really is. Along the way, she also meets Kate, an old hag, and a boy named Larkin, and a dog named Captain, and some really great puppies. I had a wonderful time writing this book, and I'd just like to read you the very beginning of it before we talk about writing. This is how it begins. The first person I saved was a dog. My mother thought he was dead, but he was too young to die. Just born, still wet and glossy, beautiful really, but not breathing. "Take him away," she said, sliding him into my cupped hands. Her voice was cold. Perhaps that was why it shook a little, but I knew her better than that. Maisie, curved around her 3 living pups as they poked blindly toward her milk, watched me with aching eyes. I could feel how much she hurt, too. "What should I do with him?" I asked. "Bury him far beyond the well." My mother turned to tidy the bedding straw. It was as red as Christmas. We'd all had a hard night, but it had been hardest for the last of the pups, the one in my hands. I cradled him close against my chest as if I had 2 hearts, but only one of them beating, then carried him away from the woodshed into the pale spill of morning light, past the cabin, toward the well, and a grave waiting beyond it. But then I stopped, looked back, and there on the cabin's broad granite step, a wooden pail brimming with cold water, waiting to be useful. I didn't know what was about to happen, but a little flicker in my chest flamed at the sight of that water, full of green and blue from the tree, the sky overhead, calm, simple. It spoke to me with a voice louder than my mother's as she stood at the door of the woodshed, bloody straw bundled in her arms, and said, "Go on then, Ellie." But I didn't go on then. The flicker, the flame, the voice all tugged me toward the bucket, where I plunged the baby dog deep into the cold, cold water and held him there until I felt him suddenly lurch and struggle. "Ellie, what are you doing?" my mother said, dropping the straw and rushing toward me. But she stopped and stared when I lifted the dripping, squirming pup and pulled him back against my chest. "He's not dead," I said, smiling. "Not dead at all," which made my mother smile too for just a moment. "Then he's yours," she said, turning back for the straw. "See that you keep him that way." That's the very beginning of a book I love to write. And now I'd like to just talk to you for a minute about the book, the stories that I hope you will write. Some of the kids I talk to say, "I don't know what to write about," or "A book is such a long thing," or even "A story is such a long thing." It feels daunting. It feels like a mountain that you need to climb, when in fact, it's very simple. It starts with a beginning, and then you just follow it to its end. It might be a page long, and it might be 1,000 pages long, but that's not the point. The point is, it just needs to begin. You just need to start. The author, E.L. Doctorow, said, writing a novel, and I can say here, writing anything, but writing a novel is a lot like driving a car at night. You can't see past the end of your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. I may have botched that up a little bit, but the point is, you don't need to see past the headlights. You don't need to know what your destination is. You just need to know how to begin. So my challenge to you, as we are all alone in isolation during this terrible pandemic, is to spend some of the time you have and some of the energy you have and your imagination and some courage, because it does take courage to take a leap of faith, and just begin with one sentence. Spend a little time thinking about it. I tell you, being in the shower somehow for me, or the bath, just literally lubricates my brain, but so does working with my hands, gardening, or doing the dishes, or building something, cleaning my room. Those things all let my mind work. And that's when that first sentence comes to me. So don't worry about the whole story. Don't worry about the whole novel. Don't worry about the whole anything. Just start with one sentence. A sentence you love. A sentence that feels like a beginning. Send it to me if you like. I love beginnings. Be well. Be kind. Be patient. Be creative. Write your stories. We want to read them.